And so I run into him and he was like, oh, Mel, like, we were just kind of making small talk. I'm just trying to be like all cool and shit by the bar. And like, I felt good. And he was like, I think he was drunk, but he was like, I think we should give it another go. I would be open.
Wow.
I would be
Very
open.
forward.
I would be open to trying things again. And I said, I don't know about that.
Damn.
So I
Miss
felt-
Melody.
I think that was the first time I was like, yeah.
Like I have the upper hand.
Yeah.
On this podcast, we talk quite a bit about dating and relationships. We've talked about the crush phase. We've talked about the beginning, like maybe situationship phase, when you get into a long-term relationship, and then also when breakups happen. Today, we're going to be covering a slightly different topic. What happens when you and your ex live in the same city? Whether it was a formal relationship that you had, maybe it was, just like a one-night hookup or whatever it is, it can be a little awkward. It can also get really emotional sometimes depending on how serious you are, and you might be frequently going to places where you have random memories that set off. How do you deal with all of that? That's what we're going to get into today.
Yeah, I'm surprised we have not talked about this topic because anyone who's in the dating scene will have probably gone through an experience like this, right? Of that like chaotic, like, oh my gosh, am I going to run into my ex at this party, at this event? And I'm just surprised we haven't talked about this before. So I'm going to kick it off by throwing it to Janet because our whole ABG community is in support of your recent breakup.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you run into your ex or gone out of your way to try and like avoid him at all?
I mean, we've actually met up a couple of times intentionally. It wasn't like around the city. It was like I went to the apartment to pick up stuff. So we've had very like deliberate, planned run-in together, or if that makes sense. I have not run into him outside of those situations. So yeah.
What if you were to? How would you feel?
I have thought about like, I think because we have seen each other, like it would not be the biggest of deals. Actually around like New Year's, I did think about like, what if I run into him like at the grocery store and if he's like with another person? And I definitely had kind of a not pleasant feeling, like in my gut. But at the same time, I think that we would probably get through the like cordial phase, get through it, and then I'd probably go into my car and cry and then we'd be fine. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's, it's like, yeah, that's that.
So aside from this more recent past ex, which it sounds like it's still a little too fresh, still too raw. How about for someone else in your past? Like, I think there was one scenario where we were at Play by Play and we did see.
Oh my!
One of your, I don't know if was he an ex? He was a flang.
Yeah, I guess I don't even know what the formal terms of these are anymore, but it was definitely someone that there was not a formal relationship. We met on the dating apps, and I think we were talking for about 2 to 3 weeks and went on a total of like maybe only like 3 dates. But it was like one of those like fast and fiery, like instant mutual attraction, reciprocation, like getting to, maybe it went like too quickly and then it burned just as quickly. And I had actually reached out to him after we stopped talking and wanted to like kind of like revive something. And at that point he was already seeing someone else. So basically, it was one of those situations where I definitely wanted more, I guess, from it. So quite some time passed, and we went to Plate by Plate. This is the first time I had gone to Plate by Plate also, and is with you ladies. And we were like, oh, this will be a nice like event. We get dressed up, we have fun. Or it was like a nice like kind of formal cocktail attire type event. I just remember we're like sitting at the table or like maybe at one of the booths like eating. And suddenly I see this guy walk in a tux. And alongside with him is this beautiful woman wearing like a floor-length gown, like strolling in tall, floating. They just looked really good together. And I just remember that, that line in Mean Girls where Katie sees Regina kissing her crush and she's dressed up like this like ogre and she says, I felt like my stomach fell to the pit of my butt or something. Like it was going to fall out of my butt. That was the feeling that I had. And I was like, oh, I'd also done some like light stalking and I knew she was like this doctor surgeon. So it's just like the ultimate kind of like, you're like this beautiful couple walking in and it's like the ultimate thing. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like wearing a short dress. I'm like, I wasn't even wearing like full cocktail attire. And
you looked hot.
Yeah,
okay.
you looked good. Someone else hit on her that night
I do remember.
He was a very powerful person.
A politician.
But I remember turning to you ladies and feeling so flustered. And right away, it was just like you guys both turned on. You're like, no, you look good. Don't worry. We'll go talk to, like, I remember feeling very flustered and actually even thinking in my head, should I just go and introduce myself to him or just like say hello so I break the ice? Because the event was actually not that large. Yeah. And I thought if we're going to be here for a couple of hours, I don't want to play this game of like trying to hide from you and all this stuff. Should we just like rip the Band-Aid? And I remember you were just like, you shouldn't do it. Let him come and introduce if he wants to have a conversation. If he doesn't, then just let it be. And I ended up just like avoiding eye contact the whole time. And like, I remember we were like, let's go upstairs. And then, okay, like we saved downstairs. Let's go downstairs.
We were doing that. And then we were also trying to avoid the person who was trying to hit on you. So we were just like running all over this place.
It's an amazing race there.
A milestone moment at ABG that I will never forget is when we launched our first item of merch, a piece of ABG that we could physically share with all of our listeners. And it was all made possible because of Shopify, the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business, from the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage? Shopify's here to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. From their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system, wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. And sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. From that first t-shirt all the way through to our now almost 30-item shop, Shopify is why we've been able to share ABG with you all in physical product form, and for that, we are ever thankful. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US, and Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way, because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/ABG, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/ABG now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/ABG.
Oh my gosh. I feel like when you're bringing up the feeling of like the pit in your butt or something. Whatever.
It feels like you feel like your stomach is gonna fall out of your butt. Yeah. If that makes, it's just basically when your heart drops.
Oh,
and
I'll
it just
catch
like,
it. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like that's one thing I will say throughout these last few years of our friendship. There's a lot of this looks weird. A lot of catching has been happening. But no, thanks for sharing, Jay. I remember being there. And when you're describing that feeling, I feel like, to be completely honest, I have multiple feelings of that. Like, of like when you run into someone or whatever and you just feel like they're either with someone else and you feel like shit. Like you always end up crying at some time, whatever. But I guess the story I'll share is the only time that didn't happen. Because it's only once in my life where I felt like it was like I felt like the hero.
Oh.
I don't want to say it that way. Okay, I don't want to say that. That sounds weird. Okay, so
curious about the story now.
He was the first guy I've dated in college, and I was really, really into him. He was older. He already graduated. I was a transfer. It wasn't like weird. So it was just someone I was really into. And then obviously we broke up. We only dated for like 2-3 months. But he was always present in my life. Like we had mutual friends, so I'd see him here and there. But I would always be curious, like, what's going on with him? And he was a guy I would go back to after like me and this other guy didn't work out. We would have like that sounds right. We just had a night together, or he'll call me when he's drunk. Like we had these like weird kind of attachments.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, why are you still into this guy? This guy is not the best for you. And so like all my friends, like Sally and Tiff, were like, why, Mel? I don't understand like this thing you have. So that's just me painting how obsessed or really into this guy I was.
Yeah.
And we stopped talking after I graduated college. And then 2 years between that, or a year, I was doing my own thing. And I ended up moving to LA. And we went to my roommate's birthday party in downtown. And she happens to be friends with him. And she invited him out. And at that point, I was like, I feel so good about my life. I feel so great. I feel like I'm doing the things I want to do. Like, I'm killing it in life. It's that feeling like, And so I run into him. And he was like, oh, Mel, like, we're just kind of making small talk. I'm just trying to be like all cool and shit by the bar. And like, I felt good. And he was like, I think he was drunk, but he was like, I think we should give it another go. I would be open.
Wow.
I would be
Very
open.
forward.
I would be open to trying things again. And I said, I don't know about that.
Damn.
I know.
Miss
So I felt-
Melody.
I think that was the first time I was like, yeah.
Like I have the upper hand.
Yeah.
I'm saying no.
But right after that, where you're like, oh shit. Wait,
No.
I do want to try it again.
No, I think that's one thing I felt so proud of myself. I was like, I finally got over him.
Oh,
It's like,
wow.
I'm finally over this guy that had such a pull on me that everyone in
That is
college
actually-
knew, you know?
That is a very empowering feeling.
Why
When
don't
you're
just have,
like, I
like,
can
yeah.
say.
Sorry, like a singles inferno like moment of like what I wanted to happen for one of the anyway.
Yeah,
Yes.
I feel you. But I had to share that story because this is the only time it happened in my life. And it was in my early 20s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where is he now? Have you checked in on him to see like
I mean, we still
what he's up
follow
to?
each other on Instagram.
Oh.
Yeah.
He knows. I feel like he like kind of like loosely follow. I think he has a girlfriend and he's like living a good life. But here's the thing, I don't care.
Oh,
That is
That's like-
that is the best feeling when
No
you
regrets.
don't care.
No
when you don't
regrets.
care, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of indifferent.
Isn't there a line from Taylor Swift? I forgot that he existed. That's the feeling I felt.
Mm.
That was like empowering feeling.
Yeah.
But to be honest,
Vigilante?
Vig-
Yes, I
maybe.
think so.
But I've also been on the other side where it's like I've been on that side too. But
Where you're like groveling.
yeah, kind of. But anyway, that's my story. How about you?
Wow, I love that, Mel. I want to see an image now.
You'll be. I already know your guys' reaction. Oh, okay.
What?
We'll speak offline later.
You're like nothing to be too proud of yourself. I'm just kidding. It's messed up.
The older I get, the more I realize how much I value good underwear. It sounds so basic, but in reality, this is something you wear every single day. The quality and the material is going to affect how you carry yourself with your day. So with that said, I have to share with you all about my experience with Skims. To be honest, I've heard of this brand and saw all the videos hyping it up. And I finally had the chance to try it, and it's life-changing. Skims is a solution-oriented brand creating the next generation of underwear, loungewear, and shapewear for everybody. I tried the underwear from their Fit Everybody collection, and the material is like butter on my skin. The reviews weren't kidding. And you know how there are underwears that claim to be seamless, but when you try them on with your yoga pants, you can still see the lines? Not with the Fits Everybody underwear. These lines are smooth. The Fits Everybody collection of underwear are lightweight, form-fitting essentials. The buttery soft fabric molds to your body and stretches to twice its size. It's offered in a range of cuts and fits, from underwears and bras to dresses, t-shirts, and bodysuits. Available in sizes XXX to 4X and offered in 9 core colorways and limited edition seasonal colors. Believe the hype. Skims has over 90,000 5-star reviews for a reason. Skims Fits Everybody and more best-selling essentials are available now at skims.com. Plus, get free shipping on orders over $75 all at skims.com. After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you. Select podcast in the survey and be sure to select our show in the drop-down menu that follows.
Okay. Well, it was hard for me to like think about, like running into an ex because I mean, it's been like 10 years since I've really been in the dating scene. But the one moment that I remember was when I went to a volleyball tournament with Philip. And this is not just any volleyball, like weekend local volleyball tournament. This is like the summer league that I played in every year for like 10 years. This league has been around since like 1945. So a super just like well-connected, integrated, community-based like league. So I knew a lot of people there. They knew me, all of that. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll bring him because it was in Vegas. And Philip, we were in LA. So he was like, I want to go see what this is all about. So I was like, all right, let's go. But of course, I also knew that my ex-boyfriend, I mean, we met because of volleyball and we got connected because of like basically our love for volleyball.
Is this the boyfriend that you left Boston and said goodbye at the
Yes.
airport?
Oh my god! I haven't told you this before. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I knew he was going to be there because I mean, Boston. We were both like playing for Boston teams too, and I was like, oh, the whole time I was tiptoeing and I was like on the lookout. Just there's like hundreds, if not maybe like 1,000+ people there. So I was like, okay, maybe I can avoid him.
Yeah.
And so literally if someone were talking to me, I'd be like one ear open, both eyes like wide open, just like looking around, trying to look for him, like trying to avoid him at all costs. And so like after one of the banquet nights, like this huge dinner, after one of the banquet nights, I did see my ex like walking. And then I was like, oh shit, like we're gonna cross paths and we're gonna like, come into, and I tried to just like avoid eye contact and just keep walking. But he, the ex, ended up coming up to us. And he had met Philip before. So he was like, they did a handshake thing. What the hell was that?
When the dudes do this.
Yeah, that thing. Like, and then, you know, went in.
Oh my God.
Should you try that later?
See, that is the ultimate way to make sure you even the playing field and you take the power into your own hands when
Maybe
you say
you should have done that with the
that's
play-by-play guy.
I was thinking of that, and I remember.
Maybe we gave her bad advice.
No. But I will say that like he was just like, oh hey, like good to see you guys. Like have fun, have a good night, and then he was on his way. So he didn't try to linger. He didn't try to make it awkward. He was just wanted to
broke the tension.
Exactly, and I was so grateful for him for doing that because it really did help me in my mindset of like, oh, I don't have to avoid you. This is not awkward. He's always been, if you know him, he's such a stand-up guy, such a good guy, literally one of the best people like in this freaking world. So I was like, and he just like went off in his way. I will say that I forget if it was that night or the night after. I was drunk and I ran into him again at the club, and I think Philip was talking to someone else. I actually said hi, and then I started like breaking down crying.
Oh my God, I've done that too. No, I just had this flashback of a memory that
I was like, I was like, it was bad.
Yeah. I've never heard this story.
And you had no clue it was coming, right? Did it catch you totally by surprise?
It caught me by surprise. But I mean, it wasn't coming from a place where I'm like, oh, I miss you. It was more like, oh my gosh, like you used to be my best friend. You knew everything about me, the closest person to me in this entire world. And now we're looking at each other like we're strangers and barely able to say hi. And again, like strangers again, right? Great short for this reason, right? And I'm just like, oh man, this is tough. To just to know that your path was like running in parallel for so long and all of a sudden it's like it diverged and it's probably never going to cross again. Crossing point. Wrong foo. But like, you know, so I was crying my eyes out and he was just like, oh.
Was he like, oh?
He's like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. I'm like, I know it's okay. I'm just letting it out. So
what did Phil do?
I think I will say that Philip is probably relatively better equipped to handle these situations because he understands, I feel like, love maybe perhaps more than the average guy.
Emotionally, he's in touch with his feelings,
So I think he was like supportive. He's like, okay, now I get it. I mean, a little awkward, but I get it. So he was there to support me, and I think it was good to like have that moment and then to just release it. And then with time does heal like all wounds kind of a situation. So yeah.
Whoa.
That was my last run-in with an ex.
That is insane. First time hearing that story.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but it feels like a lot of my friends are now getting on that baby train. If you have a friend who is also expecting or have little ones still in diapers, I always recommend Pampers Swaddlers. With Pampers Swaddlers, you can also rest assured that this diaper will prevent up to 100% of leaks, even blowouts. Swaddlers has dual leak guard barriers at the legs to help protect where leaks happen most. And they have a blowout barrier, which is an innovative back pocket built into the diaper to help prevent those messy leaks up the back. Did you know that on average, babies will use up to 8,000 plus diapers before becoming potty trained? That is a lot. That's why Pampers Diaper Stash is the hottest baby gift for 2024. So give a gift to a loved one that says, we see you and we've got you. Pampers Diaper Stash is an online diaper fund that all parents with little ones will love. You can organize friends and family to contribute to a group gift of an online stockpile that never has to run out. Pampers Diaper Stash is great because it takes the guesswork out of choosing what size and how many diapers to gift. It's so easy to do, and it's the gift that always fits.
So we share some of our personal stories. We also, in preparing for this episode, did a little bit of research, and according to Cosmopolitan, here are a couple of feelings that might come up when you bump into an ex. And these are very relatable. The list covers the roller coaster of emotions that might be triggered when you see an ex. Here are a few of our favorites that stood out to us.
So one I do abide by is secretly rejoicing because you realize you look good right now. And that's how I felt in my first story. But I think, to be honest, I think living in LA, there's a high chance of running into an ex.
Yeah.
When I'm going out and I'm already committed, I was like, I try to look the best I can because I want to be like, at least I look good. You know that feeling? You
want to be prepared.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. One that I related to and that kind of tied to the story that I shared. Extreme anxiety about holding your emotions together because the only thing worse than not being over him would be him knowing you're not over him.
Oh.
And that's what, because it was so unexpected and it just like triggered all these feelings. I just kept avoiding eye contact. Because I was like, I don't want, if he sees my face, he's going to know that, you know.
Ooh, I have something to add to that. Have you ever been on the opposite end where like, instead of being like, he'll know I'm not over him, you're like, are you ever too nice? Does that make any sense?
Too nice. So
like instead of trying to avoid him, are you ever too nice to them?
Because you feel like you've wronged them in some way?
No, it's kind of like, okay, I don't know if this is the right segment for this, but I think there's moments where you don't want it to feel awkward because you're feeling anxious. Because you are feeling anxious, but to overcompensate, you're like too nice. You're like, damn, I'm like coming off way too strong.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I have
to try to overcome the awkward feelings that otherwise would be there.
Yeah.
You're like kind of pretending to be like, oh, everything's okay. Like, hey,
so that's like the flip side of it.
Yeah.
I've also been in situations where I'll run into someone that I was dating and then they're with a new girl. And I can sense if the new girl might feel, then I'm extra like nice to be like, look, there's like nothing at all anymore, you know?
Yeah, for sure do that. And I definitely talk to like the girl too. So
that to make her feel comfortable and to
yeah.
like ease into it for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
One that I feel closely with, and this aligns with my story, is real sadness because you just realize you don't know who this person is anymore. Yeah. I will say that if like now I were to see him, obviously I'm not going to feel this way.
Yeah.
Like with time, I think there really is the sense of just like peace. Like whenever I hear, or like recently I saw that like he has a baby, I'm like, oh my gosh, he has a baby. Yeah, but like he's not on social media, so I don't know this, right? But then when I see it, it's not like this feeling of like, ooh, or like yay. It's more like peace, you know? And Philip has a saying all the time where it's just like, you want all like the flights to have a safe landing. You know, everyone has a safe landing. The turbulence is like no longer there, and it's just everyone's at a safe landing. So that's what it feels like. A feeling of peace now, but definitely 10 years ago.
Yeah. The same. The guy that I'm talking about, I know like they had a kid. He's also not very active on social media, I don't think. But when I saw the picture of the baby, I was just like, oh my God, that's so cute, you know? Yeah. Didn't feel that at the time, but after like to your point with time.
Yeah.
The other one that I related to on Cosmo's list, a sense of peace that you don't hate or love this person anymore. I think there have definitely been some people that I've had some relations with and been able to maintain a friendship with them after. And I think the more memories that you build of the friendship, the more you actually just feel like, oh, it really does feel like I don't feel triggered positively or negatively in any way, just based on friendship. Yeah.
Honestly, I've seen you do that firsthand and it's incredible to me.
Okay, well, let's say you ran into an ex and this person said, hey, let's catch up sometime soon. How would you respond to that? Do you feel like generally it's good practice to be good friends with your ex, or even just friends with your ex, or like not at all?
I am very on the side of I'm not friends with my ex. I don't like it. Maybe because in the past I've able to have a very clean break. Just for my healing process, I don't think it was really. It would hurt me more to have them in my vicinity or circle because I can't move on. So I think with that, I am more on the let's not be friends with my ex because it's just better for the both of us kind of live our individual lives. But obviously, like, it gets tricky when you have like mutual friends and you have to like navigate like, hey, I'm at a party together and I see someone I may have had something with. How do you navigate that? And I think at that point, you just have to be cordial. I don't expect to be buddy with you, but how can we get to a place of peace with each other? That the safe landing and feeling as if like we're cool. And I do think it begins with just acknowledging each other. The avoiding thing could go on for so long, but once you break that, because I think even the avoiding the person, it causes a little bit more stress and anxiety and distension.
Oh, totally.
And you're like, ugh, and it's not a comfortable feeling. So yeah, I think it's just better to like say hello, a little nod, and then move on with your life.
But not like too much of a nod, you know?
It's always more like I think it's a nice friendly hi, and then you get just live your life.
Maybe it's a downward nod. I feel like upward nod's like a hey.
But hey, what's a downward nod?
Like hey.
No one does that.
Yeah, it's an acknowledgement versus
an acknowledgement.
Hey seems like it's like
I do this. I wave.
Well, that looks a little flirty for me. Ow, your jade bracelet just banged into my
I think you just the wave is more like I'm friendly.
What if it's? I mean, I just do like a smile. Like
that's true. I do that. I do that. I didn't wave. Let me take it back. I didn't wave. I did wait. I did.
We all saw it. She waved.
But sorry, your original question was like friends with the ex. I think if the situation calls for it, if we have mutual friends and we're going to be at parties or events together, yes, then we have to be cordial. Flip side is, let's say like the exes I don't talk to anymore, I wouldn't be friends with them either because I think it might be disrespectful to my current relationship because I have there's no reason for me to be. So I think that's when I'm like, if there's no reason to be friends with ex, I would not be friends with ex.
I will say always, like, I need time after. Like, no matter what, whatever the outcome is, because I have maintained friendships, and here's how I would say that, like, almost always it's like amicable after some time, but I need the space, and usually it's like it's just always better if you have at least some time, and then whether afterwards you decide to come together and just be like cordial with each other, and everyone's just kind of like okay. Whether it's that or you have a more active relationship, I think you always need a little bit of time. I do think that whenever I say I'm friends with them, it's more that I'm just like on good terms. I don't think there's anyone that I will like frequently like grab coffee with one-on-one, right?
Yeah.
Because especially when you move on to new relationships, it can potentially be disrespectful to the other partner. But like to your point, if you have to be in the same friend group, then I think the best thing to do is you're just having more hangouts with the group of people, because then you start to build new memories with that person and a new dynamic as friends. And I found that to be like the most helpful way to do it.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, yeah, same answer. I wouldn't choose to be friends with my ex unless we had overlapping friends and mutual friends. I'm like still friends with my first boyfriend because he is in my high school friend group. So I will say that with like 20 plus years of not feeding and fueling those feelings, I could literally be in a room with him, and I don't think that's the first thing I would even think about. That like, oh, we dated. You know, it'd just be like, oh, what's up? How you do? Like not like this, but like, hey, how you doing?
Bow to you. Okay.
But yeah, I agree that I think it's always better to have a clean cut because it's again more probably just easier, and yeah, maybe there's, you both said respectful, and I would agree with that for like your next partner. It's just a little easier for them to not have to deal with that situation.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about your answer for the next question. In what situation would it not be okay to say hello to an ex?
I would say if something ended in a way where they wanted more, or you didn't feel like it was fully closed and they're with someone new, that's when I would maybe be respectful of like, does that make sense?
No, I get it, because I think sometimes, like, for example, if they wanted more from you and you're like the one initiating or saying hello, they might be like, oh, in some, maybe in a small way, they're like, oh, there's a little door opening. And you're like, I'm not trying to like give that the door, right?
Or it's like, you know, their intentions, and then if you're feeding it, then it's like,
you don't want to feed.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And especially also if they're with another person.
Yeah.
Because I don't want the other, puts the other person in a very awkward situation.
Yeah. I think I would say hi to any of my exes now. If I were to see them just like walking by, I wouldn't try and avoid them. I think maybe like there's like fling, you know? I think people who still kind of like watch your stories and stuff, like I probably wouldn't say hi.
I'm just like, who's watching your stories?
I know.
You know what I mean though? Like how would you feel if like there's no more connection, you don't talk anymore, but then you see them still like kind of watching your stories? Then would you say hi?
I don't think I have anyone in my life like that.
Well, hypothetical.
I would not say hi because I'm just like, are you in? Part of you be like, okay, one person like, are you still interested? Are you still open to it? And I don't want to give you that that door.
Yeah,
that's
why. Agreed.
Yeah. Ooh, actually, yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah.
Ooh, she thought of someone.
Yeah. Who are you guys thinking?
I'm not gonna say it out loud actually, but you know, I get someone. I know someone is peeking sometimes. I was like, oh, interesting. Someone from past. I don't want to say it out loud. It's really no big deal.
Yeah.
But I think a scenario where I wouldn't say hello is if I knew that person's partner doesn't like me.
Oh,
because I would feel like I would feel uncomfortable.
Is it you don't want to offend, you don't want to cause drama between the two of them, or like you don't want to be?
It's kind of like when you know someone doesn't want to say hello to you, you're like, I'm not going to say hello.
Oh, then I
wouldn't
say it.
I wouldn't say
that
hi
makes sense.
either.
That makes total sense. Yeah.
Have you guys ever ran into an ex's family after you broke up?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because I have. I was just wondering if you guys have.
No, but then like cousins and stuff still like comment or like my, you know, stuff and interact with me, and I'm okay with that too.
Okay.
And I do the same to them because I'm like, oh, I really like them as people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've had also, I think I had like a phone conversation with the mom of one of my exes.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
for fun or
No, she called me after, and it was like a
Oh,
pretty
that's
serious.
really
Yeah, it was a really
nice.
sweet
That's
kind
really
of because
sweet.
I used to go over to their house and like hang out with his sisters and stuff too, and
It's really nice.
younger
I will,
sisters.
I will say overall the ask like it's usually a positive experience with dealing with the family after. They're always
Yeah.
like, oh, it's so sad, but it's good for you guys, but we're sad losing someone like
For
you
sure.
know the
Yeah.
dynamic.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, I have a random question for you both. Is it more awkward to run into an ex, like someone you had a relationship with, or someone you like either hooked up with, went on some dates with, or like it's just like a casual thing? Like, what's more awkward for you?
I think the casual thing.
I think the more casual thing too. Yeah.
It creates more of like a blurry, like, do we see? Like,
Yeah.
how do we like?
You know what I think is the awkward part is when you see them and you're like, I feel kind of awkward, and you're like, I don't know. It's the question of how do they feel, right? Or that for me when it's like I don't know, because if I had a relationship with a person, usually I still feel like there was like it should be well known that we both feel like it was significant. But if I don't really know where they stand, then I'm like, oh, I feel a little awkward. And I'm like, how do they feel? And it's that unknown that's kind of a little bit like
I would completely agree with that. I feel like with an actual ex, you've built up some like rapport with them, and you can like both feel like, oh yeah, like we know each other.
Yeah,
we know it's awkward.
Yeah.
And then with someone who just hooked up and saw everything, you're just like,
hey.
Walk away.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to ask.
What do you? I mean,
what
have
do you
you?
think?
Yeah, based on
I
your
also agree. I think the casual thing is because it feels like I think sometimes when you break up, there at least is a discussion of it is ending. With casual,
if there
it's
was
like
no discussion,
sometimes it's just like
that's true.
Even if it is just like
Just fizzles. Yeah.
and also it's I think maybe part of me is like it just blurry sometimes.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's like you turn down the fire, but is it off? Is the stove
Is the
still
stove
on?
still on?
No, it's on.
Right. But that's like
Yeah,
the question.
Yeah. Oh man. This X thing is just so interesting.
Okay, so we've shared some of our run-ins that we've had, and even though it is unavoidable, probably at some point in your life you will have a situation happen. But there are some nice tips that we can keep in mind to try to like minimize any of the uncomfortableness or the awkwardness that can happen. The first thing that I would offer, which I myself have a hard time doing, but I can say makes a big difference, is to try to not keep tabs on them on social media. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. And I'm guilty of this all the time. I will, especially, when you're like late at night and you can't sleep and you just can't help it. You take out your phone and you go, death scrolling, or what do you call it?
Doom scrolling.
And you go doom scrolling on your phone and you just go to their profile, and sometimes you end up like 3 profiles deep on their cousin's page or something, and you see a photo of something. It's just bad. You just, at least like if it's a breakup, give yourself like some time to heal. Maybe allow yourself like 1 or 2 sessions of like finite stalking, and then just cut it and stop. Out of sight, out of mind. That's a saying for a reason.
That's really good advice. I would say to focus on for me, I've always like done physical activity to sort of, it's not like to get over someone, get under someone, not that type of physical activity, more like, making sure you're filling your own cup for self-care.
Yeah.
Like that is the biggest, if anyone's like, oh, what do I do? I'm like, you gotta just get out there and try something else. Because if this was like a relationship where you're like, oh, this is going to be my forever person, you envisioned a path and a life with this person for forever, right? And suddenly you have all this independence and free time, and you're like, what do I do now? So you got to fill it up with like novel experiences. You got to fill it up with like taking care of yourself, feeling good about yourself. And that does help a lot. I think it is important to also have that emotional release, but it is also important to take care of yourself during this time. So for me, that's always been physical activity. Maybe like a haircut. It's so basic, but like get a new haircut.
Yeah, doing things to make yourself feel good.
Yeah. Yes.
I will say the run-in sometimes is inevitable. Like it's going to happen. So combined with both Helen and Janet's advice, I think if you're going to a situation knowing like it's a chance you might run into an ex, mentally prepare yourself. Like I tell myself, I play different scenarios in my house. Like if I run into him, this is what I'm going to say, this is what I'm going to do, just to prepare. And then honestly, just feel like look good. Like feel good about yourself walking in. Like you're already doing all the self-care. You feel confident. You did your stalking. Now you're over it. And you're now going to walk in the situation and be like, okay, I did the best I can. I look fucking hot. I got this. And then when you run into them, just keep it really short and sweet and then move on with your day. Be like, I'm good.
Yeah. Mel's gonna be like, "Hi."
You know what I just envisioned? No, I keep it short and sweet. That's actually really good advice. Like, hold it together. You see them, you say, and you can go run into the bathroom and just kind of like,
Yeah. I will say, because afterwards you always feel like a big weight's been lifted off your shoulder. Like,
that is true.
I'm done. I'm good. I can just
That's
enjoy my
true.
night now.
You can
Yeah.
move on.
Yes.
You can move on. Great tips.
Short and sweet. Hi. Hi. In my defense, I've never
practiced this. I practiced this.
It's a quick movement, not like a.
No, it's like this.
No, that not down. Right? You know what? Go up.
No one does this. Hey, what's up?
Well, thank you everyone for tuning into this episode. I'm surprised it's the first time we're talking about this. I feel like we could have another episode just about our run-ins
I have
and
stories.
all of these different scenarios. So if you want to hear more about this, let us know. But if you are someone out there who is healing from a breakup right now, hopefully this can provide a few tips or at least
A laugh.
Yeah.
to help you get through it. Make sure to take care of yourself, put yourself first, and trust that it is a temporary process and you will get through it.
And with that, we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.